Hello, welcome to my channel. We're back, and we got Fleshy Saurus over there.
Hi, how's it going? I'm talking about Project 2025, so I wanted to be in my chair and not a cartoon for that.
Yeah, okay. So I am just doing some last-minute stuff-a-majiggies.
Fair.
Because I forgot.
Well,
I got an uwu. I don't remember. I'm not on a screen where I can see what that was right now, so I will get that when I come back to it. Right now, I'm just setting up that chat highlight thingy.
I'm loving that the entire conversation in my chat is still focusing on the whether or not Star Wars was an allegory for World War II or if it was an allegory for Vietnam.
Okay, the thing that I was doing is not working, so yeah, sorry, if you're in the YouTube chat, I can't highlight your thing because I forgot to set up the thing that I thought was going to work, and then it didn't work just now.
Get wrecked, YouTube chat!
Too late to go back to the old one. So yeah, that was Rosina Keller with a thing that I can't highlight on Super Chat, saying, deep super ooh hugs to all.
Dorito Dave says, pretty sure Lucas said specifically it was for Vietnam. No, he did, because he was a staunch opposer of the Vietnam War, and that was when he was making the screenplay. Like,
yeah. Well, I want to take it back to the electric vehicles thing. So,
okay.
I was not saying that you think electric vehicles are bad. I have a hybrid, a plug-in hybrid van,
and
it's basically designed for people with ADHD, because like I will forget to get gas, and then I will get in the van and I'm running late because I'm always running late, and I don't have time to get gas. Oh, but it's okay. I plugged it in when I got home last night, so even though I only had like 2 kilometers of range left, I now have 62 kilometers of range left. So I can get to the place that I'm going and then go fill it up. And then Fennec says, isn't this the Chrysler that you're mad at? Yes, and I am hopefully this summer going to be trading it in for a fully electric car, because my partner has a van. And it's a hybrid. It's not a plug-in hybrid, it's just a standard hybrid, but if I get a fully electric car, because we don't need something that can fit all of the kids, since we have 2 vans. If we can fit most of the kids, then that'll get like most of our puttering around town done without touching a gas station. And the ability of just like plugging it in at home and not having to worry about going to get gas. Like I'm pushing back on your statement that gas is convenient.
No, gas is convenient.
No, it's not.
Just being able to go somewhere, press a button, and then within like 35 seconds I'm good to go again. That is definitionally convenience.
No, yeah, but you have to go somewhere. For me, I just push a button when I get home.
Hold on, Rhino. If you're
morning.
driving your car anywhere, you are definitionally going somewhere.
Yeah, and
I'm the whole like late. You have to be going somewhere first,
late, so I don't have time for gas.
That's a skill issue.
You told me to level up. I don't know if you saw my comment after that, but it was I did level up, but all the
you
skill points went to my ADHD.
An ADHD wizard, level 1 in every skill, but you can cast them all at the same time.
Yes.
This level 1 fireball may not be enough to kill you, but with this level 1 frostbolt and level 1 poison and this holy smite, I don't know where I got it, all of them together, maybe the legion of D6s will do the damage. Pretty sure one of those was a cantrip with D4. Don't remember. Don't check me on that.
Okay. Okay. Just a second. The stream is going to lose our audio for a second as I just... Wait, no, I can... Wait, if I go into studio mode... How the fuck do I go into studio mode? I forget how to do this.
You press the studio mode button in the controls section of OBS.
Yeah, that's the one. Okay, so if I do this right, then this shouldn't interrupt the stream, but I'm distracted by... not doing stuff. So hopefully you guys can still hear me, but you might not be able to.
I guess we'll find out. Man, the heat wave must be dying down because my room feels ice cold now.
I accidentally cut off my camera. instead of turning off studio mode. Can you still see me, Cirrus?
I can see you.
Okay. Now, let's see if I can do this. Hey, there we go. We got the YouTube chat. VR, you're not
You
starting
did
a
it.
reality show a la 19 Kids and Counting? No. Fuck no. I just, I happen to date someone that has 2 kids, and I already had 3 kids.
Not your
Cirrus
reasons
stream
of...
can't hear the oohs. Please fix your setting for his maximum annoyance. Why would Cirrus' stream not be able to hear the oohs? Wait, in order to fix
Just
that,
gonna-
I'd have to route all my system sounds through the fucking stream. So yeah, I guess I could do that, but then you'd hear all the other little beeps and bops and whatnot. Not that that really matters. It doesn't happen often, but sure. Okay. You get my system sounds now, so you guys should be able to hear the oohs.
Oh, whoa.
That was one that you should be able to hear anyway.
Yep. Yep, I hear it.
There's a new one on there, though.
Oh, whoa.
Ooh, small beans, little babies.
Why does that one sound staticky?
Ooh,
I
small
can't hear-
beans, little babies.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me.
It sounded like you were saying something, or it looked like you were saying something, but I couldn't hear you. But I could hear the small beans, little babies.
And Fennec is
God.
in my chat saying bad noise, bad noise.
Ooh,
Okay, Rosina tested the ooh.
God damn it, Stevie. I'm gonna go kill myself.
Hey, it's a Growlith. We can finish the stream this way. I think the audience is good with that.
No, Stevie just decided to make me say words just the forced way. I have files on why I shouldn't do that right here.
Ha. Ha. Okay, people are saying I had an audio gaffe. Please don't do that again. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. I set it up so that my Go XLR sample buttons should theoretically work. They hadn't worked before I reinstalled Windows, and then when I had to reinstall everything fresh, I was like, hey, maybe I'll try them again. Maybe they will work again. And everything seemed to be working, but apparently not.
Fuck you, Stevie. Here's your ooh. There, you got it.
Somebody make a clip of that so I can add it to my mix.
God fucking balls! Why? Come here. Come here, Growler. Hey, baby. Hi, how you doing? Hello.
My dog is not with me.
Mine is like 3 pounds lighter from shaving.
They do that.
The heat wave
Okay.
was really bad, so her hair needed to go.
Okay, so on to what we ostensibly stream about.
Usually, sometimes. If we're lucky.
New study finds it's a self-referential joke.
Ah!
So there are a few stories. There are lots of stories that we will not be covering tonight because lots has been happening the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not covering anything Supreme Court related because fuck that noise. It's too depressing.
You don't want to talk about the ability to assassinate people?
Yeah, like how that's
Legally?
actually, that's like literally explicitly mentioned in the dissenting opinions
Yep.
as something that this ruling would allow. Yeah, or the fact that of the very few things that were explicitly defined as to what counts as an official action, any use of the military is included in there. So that's the sending SEAL Team 6 to assassinate your enemies.
That's also something that
And
the early pages of Project 2025 specifically state that needs to be allowed.
yeah, there's also we'll get into this in a little bit, but part of that ruling was that they can't even subpoena evidence for unofficial for anything related to unofficial crimes if the evidence came from anything official, and you can't look into their motives or anything. So that brings into question whether or not is campaigning an official act. Does it get retroactively official act if you do things illegally to cover up illegal things you did in your campaign while you were president? You can't subpoena that evidence. And so that actually will be relevant to one of the stories we are covering tonight. So I do want to mention that. I will also not be covering, I imagine you covered this already, the Project 2025 guy who said that we're in a second American Revolution and it can remain bloodless as long as the left lets it. That's fucking terrifying.
Can't hear you because okay, there we go. I'm just gonna request for anybody in my chat, if you are sending donos, please do not make Blizzy say like long fucking sentences.
Because I don't hear those, so I just keep on talking.
I just have to just suffer through it when it happens. Thank you for the resubscription with Prime. I appreciate it. But
yeah, no, I was talking about the Kevin Roberts from the Heritage Foundation and that thing that he said where
I covered that in my first video, the one that went out today. That was fucking scary because that's literally the abusive parent threat of I'm gonna beat you if you do this, and it's going to be your fault I beat you. Like that's all it was.
Yeah. And we're also not going to cover the increase in infant mortality rate in Texas that was directly linked to their restricted abortion access.
Why are you handing me a sock?
Because dogs love socks.
Yeah, he just handed me a sock.
Yeah, my dog does that all the time.
There you
She'll
go,
just show
Chip.
up with a random kid's sock in her mouth that she found on the floor somewhere because the kids never put their socks away. And
He just probably grabbed his from the laundry basket.
Also, in later news, James Inhofe died.
I don't know who that is.
He is the guy that's famous for bringing a snowball into Congress and being like, look at the snow that there was outside today, therefore climate change isn't real.
How long do you have to hold on to that snowball for it to not just melt in the middle of Congress?
I don't know, but that's the thing that he's famous for, and this is one of the problems with electing old people to office, because like he has died now, and he did not live long enough to actually see any of the significant consequences of his anti-climate change activism. I mean, it is starting. Like, I was under a tornado watch today. That's not something that happens here very often.
Damn.
It has been happening like while I was growing up in this area. We had one tornado when I was like a kid, but like we were never under a tornado watch. Ironically, that was the tornado that ripped up the drive-in theater that was playing Twister that night. They weren't actually open that night. The urban legend is that they were open and it was screening, and it was actually at the scene where the tornado was ripping up the drive-in theater when the tornado ripped up the drive-in theater.
This movie's really immersive.
But no, there was a really bad weather that night, so they closed and said no movies. But yeah, but like in the last 5 or 6 years, there's been at least 1 or 2 tornado watches every single year. And that is very unusuul for us.
That's a direct result of climate change.
Yeah,
it turns out when hot and cold air get to mix in ways they normally don't, we get lots of weird shit happening.
Schrodinger's cat saying almost every storm system spawns tornado watches. Yeah, but not here. We get lots of storms every year. This is the first tornado watch, or like the tornado watches are the rare thing. Rosina says we need more sulfur in the atmosphere to cool the earth. So that's why the Satanists are right. Hail Satan.
Bring the sulfur into the atmosphere from the depths.
Yeah.
Or we can just get a whole bunch of rotten eggs in the atmosphere. That smells from sulfur.
Yes. Okay, sure. There's actually a sulfur mine not too far away from here, and there's a tunnel that goes under a canal that is near the mine, and it smells like farts. So my kids refer to that as the fart tunnel. So that's fun. Okay, so moving on to actual news articles. Researchers have found that books about difficult adult subjects make kids better readers. This was sent to me
What?
anonymous. If you have news items, send them to news@vicerhino.com. You have to compete with this anonymous person because he sends a lot, and I think all 3 of the news items tonight are from him. So you got some stiff competition if you want to actually make it on the show. But that's where you can send stuff. Most of the news items I'm covering are olds because all the new stuff is the depressing Supreme Court stuff. So this is from back in March. A non-profit group has identified more than 1,500 books. Yeah, that's the PEN America, 1,500 books banned in states across America.
Hello, Growlith. Do you need me to let you out now? It's not 10 o'clock, you jerk.
This is a free elf. Growlith just got back in. I was all excited when I saw you take Growlith out earlier because I'm like, oh, this means Growlith will not interrupt the show.
Nope, and she's just being a butt now. Give me a second.
Okay.
Come on, Growlith.
FedEx says I need to... where am I going? I need to step up my article game. Growlith and Rhino had their bathroom breaks synced. Oh, has Cirrus taken Growlith out while I've been off to pee in the past? That was a hat that just happened, right? No, not a hat. Hydrate. Yeah, okay. So I hydrated. Yeah, so, how's everybody doing? Well, we wait for Cirrus to get back from Let the Dog Out. We're standing Team Rocket. Yeah. Growlith is learning how time works. Growlith always goes pee at 10 o'clock, in my experience. Italian Shakespeare says, I'm fine, how are the kids? The kids are okay. At least one of them is very mad at me. Because they rotate through the different chores. Because some of the chores just suck, so we don't want to have, like, one kid doing the worst chore all the time. And it's his week on dish duty, and he fucking hates it, and he's fucking terrible at it. So, like, every time a dish comes out that's like, oh, this is still dirty. You need to wash this again. He gets, like, pissed. It's like, Can you adopt Dapper Dinosaur drinking rules? I don't know what Dapper's drinking rules are. And I also don't have any alcohol tonight, so no. Fennec said, I had therapy today. Good for you. Therapy is good. Therapy is good and fun. Well, not always fun. Probably usually not fun. Therapy is expensive, yes, that it is. I have multiple children that all need therapy. And actually the autism diagnosis for one of them took the therapy from not being covered by the by OHIP, which is our government health insurance, to now it is covered by OHIP, so they get to go to therapy for free now. But before that, it's like $150 a session, and you're supposed to go like once a week at least. So it's like $600 a month just in therapy for one of my children. And like, they all have a dead mother, so they all need therapy. Second one is they have been diagnosed with ADHD, and there is an autism assessment coming up, and the psychiatrist is basically like, yeah, no, I'm 99% certain that they have autism, but we have to get the ADHD under control before we do the assessment for autism, so like they're just dialing in the medication for that, and then when there's an autism diagnosis there, they will get free therapy as well. And then I'll only have to pay for one of them, and then maybe I'll be able to afford to send me to therapy. So that's fine.
All right, I live now.
Okay, yeah, we're just talking about how prohibitively expensive therapy is, especially when you have 3 children that all need therapy. Not to mention yourself.
Yeah. Just so here in the States, it was 80 a session, something like that.
Oh, that's bloody cheap. I wish it was only 80 a session. 150 a session is the cheap ones here. Alex Merkel says, wait, therapy isn't covered by Canadian healthcare by default. I thought you were supposed to be a woke country. So It sometimes is in certain situations, but you have to, like, to get the government covered stuff, you have to either have a diagnosis like autism, in which case, super easy to get my oldest into therapy. But for myself, it's like you go on the waiting list for one specific clinic, and then there's literally one clinic in all of the Niagara region that is the one that you go to if you've got the government paying for your therapy. And it's not a big one either, so like they've got a long waiting list. And then once you're in, you get 6 sessions. And then you're done. If you don't fix your brain in 6 sections, tough luck.
That's
so
not how therapy works, though.
That is not how therapy works. Ever had a breakdown during super basic psych evaluation? I have not, no. But I can understand how that could happen. All right, so we get who is this? Someone from Moms for Liberty? Yeah, Tiffany Justice, co-founder of Moms for Liberty, says public school children K through 12 do not have unfettered access to the internet at school, or movies, or music. But somehow these books with these horribly explicit graphic content are finding their way onto bookshelves in public schools all over America.
Are they talking about just there was a cartoon naked person? Because that was in my biology textbooks in 6th grade. Is that... Should I have cared about that, or like...
I don't know.
Was that something that I should have been concerned about?
I don't know. Doesn't make sense to me.
Yay.
But, like, we're not saying unfettered access to books. We're saying don't ban... yeah, here's the thing. With books, it's kind of self-selecting. Like, with movies or video games or whatever, or music... Like, it doesn't take any extra skill to press play on an explicit song versus a kid's nursery rhyme. It's the same skill set. So, like, having limitations on that makes sense. But for libraries, it's kind of self-selecting. So, like, you fill up a library that's, like, if the school is all the way from K to 12, which most schools aren't. They'd go from, like, K to 8 and then 9 to 12. But like, say it's like K to 12, all of them. Put all the books in. Have every kindergartner have access to Kurt Vonnegut, and I can't think of any other band authors right now, but there are lots of them. Fahrenheit 451. Is it 451? I might have the number wrong on that.
Catcher in the Rye.
Well, that's not a good book, but yeah, no, all these books that get banned, have them fully accessible to kindergartners. You know what the kindergartners are going to take out from the library? The big old board picture books. And I don't...
Yeah.
Like board as in, like, they're made of cardboard, not board as in...
Yeah,
boring.
the ones that have, like, 10 pages, because 10 pages makes a book that thick.
Yeah, Rosina's pointing out that some kids' nursery rhymes are disturbing as hell. Yeah, like Ring Around the Rosie, the Black Death one.
Yep. I remember when I was in... And granted, this is PCA, so all of our stuff was built specifically for kids in the ABECA, programs. But I remember most of the books that I pulled out of the library for the longest time before getting to like Boxcar Kids and stuff like that was those books that showed you the insides of how things worked, where they would just like here's a Lincoln limousine, let's cut it in half so you can see the insides of what it is. Like that's the stuff that was my jam when I was a kid.
Yeah. So like, but that's what I mean. It's like TV, movie, music, or whatever. You press play, and it works. But like, no kindergartner is going to go into the library and start taking out these advanced, controversial books. So like,
no, they're not.
There's a reason for controls on the internet and movies and music, but books kind of do that on their own. Also, like, one of the best ways to get kids interested in reading a book is to tell them that it's banned. Because like I don't know how it came to be in my house, but I saw in my living room, sitting on top of my living room PC, a copy of The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, which I know is one of those books that gets banned frequently. And it must have been my partner who brought it in, because like none of my kids really knew about it, but they're like, I told my middle child, like held it up, he's like, hey, you could probably read this book, and you know what, it's illegal for you to read it in some places in the States. And his eyes just lit up.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, so now they're very interested in reading that book, whereas if it was just another book, it's like, it's just another book. They tried to read Slaughterhouse-5, but it was a bit convoluted for them.
I've never read Slaughterhouse-5.
It's very good, but it's very confusing until you figure out what's going on. Because like it just jumps back and forth in the timeline of this guy's life, and it doesn't tell you that's what it's doing.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's very good though. I highly recommend it. So yeah, Gay Ivey, professor of literacy at University of North Carolina, said that school boards and policymakers do not agree about the purpose of reading in school. Whereas these researchers found that reading books considered disturbing by students was beneficial for their learning and emotional development. The two said parents also noticed growth in their children after reading the disturbing books. So that's the thing, is that if a kid is reading a book that has content that makes them uncomfortable,
it makes them think.
It makes them think. It makes them... Fennec is saying, what constitutes disturbing? It depends who you ask. In this context, they're talking about books dealing with things like drugs, suicide, sex, abuse. So, like, actual disturbing content, not the faux disturbing, oh, there's two boys that kissed. Because that's not actually disturbing.
It's only disturbing if you've already been bred to be a homophobe.
Yeah. But yeah, like reading about situations like that, it's kind of like, I remember when COVID first hit and all the lockdowns were in full swing, it started being talked about that watching horror movies is actually healthy, like it's good for your mental health, because it engages your brain into that fight-flight response in a safe environment. So it's it almost like causes like a similar reaction to like if you were to like go on a roller coaster or something. So it like, I don't know, I forget exactly what it was, but that's what actually got me to watch Alien for the first time, because I'd never seen it because I fucking hate horror movies, and everybody had told me that Alien's a horror movie, and I didn't really realize that by horror they meant like 80s creature feature.
Which is closer to a thriller than anything.
Yeah, and I fucking loved it. I'm like, oh, it's too bad that I waited so long for this. Bring back American Psycho as required reading? Sure. But yeah, no, I hadn't watched Alien for a long time. And then when I heard that, like, oh, it's good for your mental health to watch horror, I'm like, okay, well, Alien is like sci-fi horror, so maybe I will be okay with that one. And then it turned out to not even be... I mean, like, there was a little bit of body horror going on with the face huggers.
The chest burst scene and stuff like that.
Yeah, but the chest burst scene is so iconic that I've already seen that out of context like 50 million times, not to mention in Spaceballs. But, yeah, so it's kind of the same thing with books, is like, it's putting you in these difficult, controversial, uncomfortable situations, but in a safe place. So, like, if you're curled up in bed, you're not actually experiencing these things, but you are now being taught to empathize with someone who's experienced these things through the book. So it's good for emotional development. Yeah. And many of the students chose to read books that, oh yeah, so they gave these kids books during class time. They were not told which books to read. They were just given like the full selection. So
you mean that they're just allowed to do the selection process you were talking about before anyway?
Yeah. Well, they're specifically looking at grade 8. And they didn't pressure the kids to finish the books. There was no schoolwork related to the books. It was just, here's some books, we want you to read them. And
that's reasonable.
Yeah. And so many of the students chose voluntarily to read books that deal with difficult subjects like depression, suicide, illegal drug use, or sexual exploitation. So, like, they didn't make them read those books. Those were just available options when they said, here's a bunch of books they want you to read. Some of the books the students chose were ones that schools around the country have banned. These books include 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher, Identical by Ellen Hopkins, and Sold by Patricia McCoy.
Your audio just completely cut out.
Oh my god, what is wrong?
I heard you say an author's name, and I thought it was just a very strangely pronounced name for a second there, because it cut off at a weird area. And then I saw your lips are still moving. I'm like, oh, no, he's just broken.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, so it's not the sample thing that's doing that. I'm going to have to investigate this to see what the fuck is going on before my next stream. Yeah, I'm on battery-powered headphones. I'm like, maybe that's something, but like, no, it's just plugged into the headphone jack. That shouldn't affect the microphone.
Ideally.
You would think. So the students were drawn to books that were dealing with troubling subjects. What's that? Oh, that's a hat.
Oh, wear the fucking hat.
Cyrus hasn't seen this hat yet.
World's okayest bisexual.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I broke this out on the stream, everybody's like, "Oh, is this you coming out?" I'm like, no.
It'd be funny if it was, though.
Yeah, maybe I should have saved it for that, because I'm sure that's going to come at some point.
You said come with bisexual as the topic.
I did.
I am a mature individual.
I was trying to figure out how to put a joke into that. And Trappy's like, I thought you came out a few videos ago.
Trying to figure out how to put a joke into that. Meanwhile, in the breeding circles.
Yeah. So instead of being harmed by such subjects, reading about fictional characters made them more empathetic, she said. Ivy also said they were more thoughtful about the characters' motivations and actions. Researchers found that reading made the students happier and helped some heal from sadness or depression. The difficult nature of the books made the students more likely to discuss the subjects with teachers, parents, and friends. So not only does the experience of reading these books help them process things for themselves, but it also makes them more likely to have discussions about these sorts of topics with trusted friends and adults in their life, which
because there's only so far a kid can care about the quick brown fox jumping before they're like, no, here, because like so when I was a kid, I grew up, I read Stuart Little, and there's a little bit in that book that you can talk about over the main story, like how there's one of the characters in the book is the type of person to say, oh, I'll get to that, and never actually get to that, and they're like berated for it throughout the book. That's the most I was able to talk about. But then like when you look at some of the media that can be considered very violent that I was consuming around the time, stuff like Yu Yu Hakusho and Dragon Ball Z, there was a lot more discussion to be had about characters and motivations and the whys. And even when they did things like, oh, here's this person who was a villain and responsible for almost obliterating all of these people. They're a good guy now because they've gone on this character arc. That's a fairly complex thing for a kid to have to grapple with, of like, I was rooting against this person 100 episodes ago. It turns out that complex shit, kids eat it the fuck up.
Kids love it. Rosina says spoon with a man while wearing a super comfy Sonic onesie. I feel like
I will not be wearing the Sonic onesie. I will not be wearing the Sonic onesie, and nobody in my chat can make me wear the Sonic onesie.
My chat is arguing about whether or not I've come out as bisexual.
You're not supposed to come out. You're supposed to come in like a real man.
I know, but like, I haven't officially, but like, I've pointed out that I have my partner is convinced that I am bisexual, and so I'm kind of soft adopting the label bi-curious.
That's understandable.
Apparently I've soft adopted it hardly enough, or hard enough.
Hard enough.
I've soft
Was it
adopted
hard
it
enough?
Hard enough that people thought that it was
If it's
just
hard
coming
enough
out,
for
so.
long enough, it becomes soft enough afterwards.
And then I'm out. Sure.
Jesus Christ. Man, my nose is so itchy from playing with my animals. Jesus. God.
Christina said I didn't mention Cirrus in my fantasy. Yeah, but Cirrus is the one with the Sonic onesie.
Yeah, it's right behind me.
Okay. The social. So, with regards to the books, the social interaction around them is what really important, including talking to parents and teachers. Ivy said that she and Johnston came to realize that what really matters is the meaning that the kids make out of the books, not the adults' meaning that they make, which are
Yep.
oftentimes really off base.
Yeah. It's because we have a lot of predispositions that we walk in with, whereas kids get to walk in with more of a clean slate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, students are able to read characters facing difficult decisions and think about how they would react to a situation described in the book. So, like, that's what you were saying earlier, where they now get to think about these situations and how they would act in that situation. It's kind of like mental practice for if something like that should ever happen.
Yep. Now you get to think like, hey, what happens if you're in a situation where somebody who bullied you or did these terrible things or said these terrible things is now turning another leaf? How do you act towards that person now? Do you accept them? Why or why don't you? Well, these characters in this far more complex piece of media dealt with that, and you consumed that, so there you go.
All right, I'm going to pronounce this name wrong on purpose because I think that's funny. Clueless Expert. Clueless Expert.
Clueless Expert.
But it says it's got Sexpert right in the name.
Clueless
Sexpert. Says, do you even need to come out when everybody knows already? I haven't really talked about it on my main channel, so the coming out will be when I wear this hat on my main channel. So, joke's on you, I'm ace. So, some aces still have sex. I know that's a wild thing for people that aren't really familiar with aces to think about, but like, that is a thing that happens.
Being asexual does not mean you are sex repulsed. That is a different thing entirely.
Yeah. So that's basically everything in this. I just want to finish up by saying, I'm Dan Novak. It's like, they finish their written article the same way like a reporter on the street would finish.
Yeah, this has been Dan Novak signing out.
Yeah, it just kind of made me giggle when I got there. Okay.
Well, there we go. I'm just trying to fill in the void right now between this and the next topic.
Italian Shakespeare says, I remember reading about the Holocaust and found it very upsetting, but I learned just how evil the Nazis were, and I think it needs to be talked about even if I don't want to. So yeah, I vividly remember in high school, grade 9 or 10, reading The Hiding Place by Corrie ten Boom, which is the story of how she survived the Holocaust. Her whole family died in concentration camps. Actually, I don't think she ever found out what happened to her father, but like, they got arrested by the Nazis and then she never saw him again, so there's not really much question as to what happened there.
Yeah.
But this was in the Christian high school that I went to, and because Corrie ten Boom, very devout Christian, and there was a very Christian spin on it with how like she finishes the book with the story of how she met one of the concentration camp guards at a church service after the fact, and you know, through the power of Christ, she was able to forgive him, and they had a touching reunion or whatever. Like, I don't know, like, I'd have to read it again as an atheist to see what my thoughts are on it there, but like, it's a very powerful book, and like, even Neuromdipus says, yeah, some things should not be forgiven. I'd agree with that one, but however, it's also like, it's not for me to say that the Holocaust victim shouldn't forgive the Nazi. I am not going to blame any Holocaust survivor if they decide not to forgive the Nazis ever. I would agree with that decision. But in the situations where somebody says, yes, I forgave those people, if that is part of your healing journey, then I'm not going to try and take that away from you.
Always leave it to the victim.
Yeah. Now, the idea that forgiving of your abusers has to be part of the healing journey, that's a super toxic message that I don't agree with at all. And in the book, there probably is a good deal of that in there, just based on the fact that she is very devout Christian. But still, it's a very graphic book that I was exposed to at a fairly young age. And it affected me very deeply. But like in a good way. And
yeah,
so, like,
I'm trying to think of like outside of, because I wasn't a huge reader back then. I mean, I was trying to think of what I would say was like the most complicated thing pre-middle school. Probably the Harry Potter series, and at that point it hadn't gotten far enough to where like anything complicated had been introduced that merited conversation at all. Like, I think the most complicated thing in that whole series is the Severus Snape heel turn, both of them, and
spoilers.
Yeah, it's fine. But I can't think of anything past that would have like been that overly complicated for me to have to figure out. That's a very every character is cut and dry the book series until you get to that. And even after that, it's still very cut and dry.
Yeah. Well, that's actually, I'm sure I've mentioned this on stream before. The last book I read was The Orphans Tale by Catherine Valente. Fantastic book, but one of the so it's a series of nested stories. It's perfect for someone with ADHD because like each chapter is just a piece of a story, and then like in each story the character will meet someone in the story who then starts telling another story, and it's like got this nesting thing going on, and there's like it's always easy to figure out where you are. She wrote it brilliantly that you can always you can always remember the details of the story. Like she gives just enough background or whatever. My partner's in the chat saying, "Where are the boobs?" We were just talking about Nazis, honey.
You could not see these tits.
Cannot see these tits, says Cirrus.
Man, Growlithe is very antsy today because I've just been hearing her bark in the backyard.
Yeah, so Matryoshka stories. Yeah, that's a good description of it. But so one of the interesting things about it is that often a character that will be the protagonist of one story becomes the antagonist of another one. And so like you have to like you have this flip-flopping empathy of like, I feel for you here, but you're kind of a dick here.
Yep.
And there are a lot of morally gray characters that they're not necessarily good or bad per se. Like it's a fantastic book, and like the
or characters who are bad, but within the context of where they are, there's a reason for every action they're taking, and they don't necessarily have much of a choice. Or characters who have grown up in an environment where it would literally have been impossible for them to turn out any other way if they are currently bad, because there was no other like better stimuli for them.
Yeah. Hellbound Hillbilly says, Russian nesting stories. Are we talking about the Facebook boomers? No, we're talking about The Orphans Tales by Catherine Valente, which is fantastic. Can't recommend it enough. All right, next up, we've got Trump campaign funneling millions to mystery company raises questions. So this is the one that I said the Supreme Court decision will kind of potentially impact. So basically, the long and short of this story is there is a new company that was set up in like last November, registered in Delaware, of course, because of course they are. Every shady business registers in Delaware. And nobody knows what they do. There's their
course.
website is basically a blank slate. It's got a contact form, but like nobody ever responds from the contact form, and nobody knows.
It's just enough so that they can say, yeah, go to our website.
Yeah,
Basically,
yeah,
it's enough so that they have areas to point to, and that's
nobody
it.
knows who works there. Nobody knows what they do. Nobody knows who they are, who they're affiliated with, what sort of services they provide. We know nothing about this company. And $3 million of Trump's campaign funds have been funneled into this company. And if he becomes president and then does things to cover up whatever he's doing through this company, that now becomes something that you can't look into, because that would be questioning the president's motives when he was doing a thing. And whether that counts as an official act or not, you can't collect evidence on it.
Thank you, Supreme Court.
So, yeah, as if money in politics wasn't bad enough already. But like, yeah, I actually like this is the website. This is the whole thing. It's cut off on the screenshot, but there's like clouds scrolling across the bottom, and like not very, like it's just a still image that they've got scrolling. It's
Nothing
not actually,
really there.
Yeah. I mean, I could get in touch. We fill out the form, email, news@viced.rhino.com. Viced Rhino. How can we help?
Rice to Vino.
What do you do? Submit query. Submitting successfully. That's it. That's their whole website. I just showed you the whole damn thing. Sorry, you guys didn't see the clouds that were scrolling across the bottom.
They were very important, though.
Yeah, no, that completely changes everything and makes everything legit. So, this is why you buy your Skillshare. That is the company that does websites, right? I keep getting mixed up with one of the other ones and so many ads. I think you mean Squarespace, because Skillshare is the one where you learn how to build a website, whereas Squarespace is the one that says we'll build it easy.
We'll build your website for you.
Well, they won't build it for you, but they provide tools where if you can drag and drop a picture, you can build a website.
Close enough.
Yeah, so Trump's campaign has given more than $3 million to a mystery company. Two committees associated with the former president's political campaign, the Trump Save America Joint Fundraising Committee and Save America, have paid a grand total of $3.1 million to Launchpad Strategies LLC, a company that was incorporated in Delaware in November, according to state business records, because that's where all shady businesses are.
Yay.
P.O. boxes in North Carolina.
For reasons, I guess.
Yeah, there's probably a reason for that as well.
Might be P.O. boxes where the person is located, whereas the LLC would be filed in Delaware.
Yep. So a Trump campaign spokesman said that it's a digital advertising company that is primarily focused on fundraising.
Okay.
Which I feel like they don't really need a fundraising company to write those unhinged emails that are just like, we need you to save America by giving us money now, otherwise Biden and the Democrats will kill babies after they're born. Like, if any ad agency is actually responsible for that, then they need to be, like, disbanded somehow.
I mean, it's working, though. Let's be honest. Although, to be honest, I think the more of the assistance that's gone towards Trump's attempted presidency right now has been happening thanks to CNN. There's been far more reporting on how bad the Biden debate was than anything I can think of that they've focused on in recent bits.
Yeah, like, fuck that. You know what? I would... Okay, I'm not American, so I can't vote. I'm sorry. I wish I could. But I am a communist.
Oh, boy. Steel Jules has just made you a comrade.
Yeah. What was this? Yeah, no, so I'm not American, so I can't vote in your elections, unfortunately, because despite what the Republicans will tell you, only American citizens are legally allowed to vote. I don't know why that's their thing right now. It's like, oh, Biden wants to make illegal aliens allowed to vote. No, he doesn't. They haven't done anything. It's already illegal for them to do it, so passing legislation about that doesn't make any sense. But, like, if I could vote in your election, I don't care if the Democratic candidate is a bucket of donkey dicks. I would vote for the bucket of donkey dicks over Donald Trump.
I mean, you'll take anything over Hitler 2.0.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Like
Even
that-
with Biden, like, okay, fine. Say he's mentally infirm. Okay. There's evidence that Trump is as well. Have you ever heard him speak at his rallies? That dude is unfucking hinged. They're just unhinged in different ways.
I will always take incompetence over evil, though. Like,
Yeah,
if
but-
I have a choice
but here's
between
the
the
thing.
two of them.
Joe Biden, even if he is mentally failing, he still knows to surround himself with people that know what they're doing. And, like, the president doesn't have to be good at debating. The president has to be good at picking people who will advise him correctly and taking correct actions. Now, like,
Also,
having
these
an
are the
infirm
people that
president-
celebrated. These are the people who celebrated Reagan as hard as they did when that dude coasted through the last few years of his presidency in the swallowing arms of dementia.
Look up Ronald Reagan signature over time, and look at them side by side and watch him deteriorate. Yeah, no, Nancy Reagan was making official policy decisions based on the advice of her astrologer by the end of his presidency. And like that's not what would happen with Joe Biden, I don't think. But if it did, it would still be better than fucking Trump. And
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like, yeah, Biden sucked at the debate. The president's job is not to debate people.
Nope, their job is to run the country.
Yeah. And like all the discussion about whether or not Joe Biden should drop out, it's like how about we talk about what the fuck Trump is doing? How about we talk about Project 2025 and like a bucket of donkey dicks is not going to pass Project 2025, or it's not going to pass their agenda stuff. Like, no. Why have you disappeared again? You always make me nervous when you disappear.
Because I'm changing the temperature in my room because it's ice cold.
Ah, okay. That's fair.
But if it makes things more entertaining,
Yeah, so this company that or Trump spokesperson, after saying that they are a digital advertising company that focuses on their fundraising, I followed that up by saying, as you note, the FEC documents include their listing in a compliance with our reporting obligations, which, if you offer that up unprompted, then you know you're covering your ass for the sketchy thing that's happening.
yeah.
Like, if you ask me about
It's like,
an
don't worry, we are in compliance. Like, why are you having to say we're in compliance? Nobody was asking.
Like, if I have an advertising like if I hire an advertising agency to put together an ad for my YouTube channel, and then somebody calls me up and says, hey, I just noticed that, like, I found some filing or whatever that you had to do where you hired Donkey Dicks LLC for something. What's that about? I'd just be like, oh yeah, no, they did some advertising for me. And then I'd leave it at that. If I was like, yeah, they do advertising for me, and I filed everything as in compliance with the reporting obligations, and that's like, oh. So yeah, you're saying they did advertising for you, but you wouldn't have said that second thing if there wasn't something else there. So, you know, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but I don't think so. Because this is fucking Trump we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, boy.
Yeah, and then the rest of the article is just about how sketchy this is. So, yeah.
A shadow organization doing campaign stuff for Donald Trump being a shadowy organization. In other news, water may or may not make other things wet. More on that at 11.
How about no political donations? Campaigns are financed through tax money. Everybody gets a set amount,
Yep.
and they all get
Do
the
with
same
it what you
amount.
will.
And there's no more super PACs, no more, like, yeah. And
I'd
then
prefer
everybody's like,
that.
oh, we'd have to raise taxes for that. It's like, okay, but like,
No, we wouldn't. We
just-
already spend a fuck ton of tax money where it doesn't need to be. We'll just reallocate some of those taxes.
well, even if you do have to raise taxes for that, the amount of money spent on campaigns would be significantly less than it is now. So when you can, like, if you average out the donations given to all the campaigns across the population, that's effectively saving them money. Now, granted, good chunk of that money, most of that money, I'd say, comes from rich corporate donors. But when have Republicans ever complained about giving breaks to rich corporate people?
Yeah.
Okay. Last news item. Some mostly good but kind of mixed news.
Okay.
Bankruptcy trustee discloses plan to shut down Alex Jones's Infowars and liquidate assets.
Oh,
Imagine no more donors. It's easy if you try. Yeah. No. We don't need to see Alex Jones.
No, we don't really need to see him. He looks the same as he always has been. Sad.
Yeah. U.S. bankruptcy court trustees planning to shut down conspiracy theorist Alex Jones' Infowars media platform and liquidate its assets to help pay the $1.5 billion in lawsuit judgments Jones owes for repeatedly calling 2012 Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting a hoax. He had to do this as an emergency motion. He indicated publicly for the first time that he intends to conduct an orderly wind down of the operation of Infowars' parent company and liquidate its inventory. Now, the reason I say this is mixed news is because, like, on the one hand, yay, Infowars is getting disbanded, shut down, sold off for parts, and the money is going to go to pay off the Sandy Hook victims. And also, always worth reiterating, this judgment is a thing that will follow Alex Jones around for the rest of his life.
Mm-hmm.
As long as he lives, every dollar he makes will be garnished. And that's a good thing, and I love it. Because he's never going to pay off what he owes. Never. But it's mixed because the Sandy Hook family still haven't seen a penny of the money that he owes them. And the reason this was filed as an emergency motion is because they were filing motions to... this gets into it in the article. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, they're... So they were filing motions to seize a bunch of his assets, including the corporate cash, in ways that would throw the business into chaos, potentially stopping it in its tracks, which would. This is where I kind of have more mixed feelings, is because, like, if they stop it in its tracks, then they get some money now, whereas the way he's doing it, they will get more money later. And I want them to have more money later, but at the same time, I would like to see Alex Jones just stopped in his tracks for the good of the world.
But the thing is, with Alex Jones, though, he has largely been abandoned. So the person to look out for when it comes to which angle the conservative, super majority of dipshit pundits is going to lean is Chris Rufo. He's been giving information to everywhere about when to attack CRT, when to attack trans people, when to attack teachers. Chris Rufo publicly went on a Twitter rant about Alex Jones inadvertently because it was about Candace Owens. And the opinion on Candace Owens now is the same as the opinion on Alex Jones. They consider them political dead ends. While I would love to see Alex Jones stopped, unfortunately, in the grand scheme of things, right now, he's not really a player. Not the way he used to be. Not anymore. He's not even taken seriously by his own peers. So I'd rather just the families get more money, since he's not even taken seriously by his own peers anymore.
Okay, that's fair. I don't know. I haven't read this whole thing, but I just see at the bottom, I literally think Fox News is money laundering. It wouldn't surprise me, but for legal reasons, I'm not saying that I agree with that statement. But yeah, so the families in both lawsuits who have not received anything from Jones yet appear likely to get only a fraction of what Jones owes them. It's unfortunate, but, like, it's going to be the rest of his life he's going to spend paying them back.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Jesus.
And that's basically... Your dogs are needy little bastards today.
I know, right? It's never been like this,
My dog.
but apparently today...
You want to say hi? You want to say hi to the people? Give me. Butters? Come up. Hey, come in. She's doing this very... Oh, no, no, hey. You're the worst. Traitor. Little traitor. Come on. Give her, you traitor. She went straight over to Mummy. I was the one calling her. She's tired. Says, this is my bedtime. Why are you making me go on camera?
Well, come on then, both of you. Since obviously my entire life must revolve around y'all. I see.
I got one too.
Oh boy.
Mine's a sleepy puppy.
Yours is sleepy and little.
Yeah. Doremo10 says this is why I'm a cat person. Counterpoint. Cats are nowhere near as friendly. Or trainable. Like, you can train them.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, they, like, and, like, I've... The cat people all say, like, oh, no, cats are friendly to people that they like and that like them. I know, but it's not the same. Like, I grew up with cats. I had a cat myself before this dog came into my life. But it's just not the same. Like, the dog will follow you around the house and enjoy your company and wag her tail at you every time she sees you. You make eye contact with the dog, she starts wagging her tail and gets excited that you looked at her.
I mean, I have one cat that does that, and that's Gigi. But it's on cats, it's a very case-by-case basis when they're like that.
Yeah.
But Gigi will follow me around everywhere, whether I go to a different room or whether if I leave the house, she will walk out with me, and she's like followed me all around the property before. The only difference between her and Growlithe is she doesn't need a leash. She'll just walk around with me with no issue.
Yeah, so Sean Helfin says, okay, I'll argue on the cats being friendly because I actually had to tell my cats to stop rubbing against me at times. I don't disagree. Like, I know I had a very affectionate cat. Like the Periwinkle, my cat before Puddles arrived. Well, there was a little overlap there, but she had her heart condition. She ended up dying, but yeah, we knew she was dying for like a year. But like, yeah, she was a very affectionate cat. She was a very friendly cat, but like the type of affection was different. It was just very different.
Mm-hmm.
Dogs are smarter than cats. I know cat
they
people
are.
Cat people don't like to hear that because it'll be like, oh, cats are too smart to train them. They're not going to fall for your bullshit. But it's like, no, it's actually
because
dogs
they're
pick up
less
on
smart.
it easier because they are more socially attuned. Okay, I'm not saying cats are not friendly, guys. Come on, Drew. I'm not saying they're not friendly. I'm saying dogs are more friendly. And
don't you understand? You said you like waffles. That means you hate pancakes.
I don't like either, actually.
Then you're not American.
You're right, I'm not. Give me my breakfast poutine.
Why did I hear give me that breakfast poutine in the same cadence as give me that Christian side hug?
Cats are friendly because they want to eat your face. Dogs are friendly because you're the best. Smartness does not equal being socially attuned. No, but there are more neural connections in a dog's brain than in a cat's.
So are we doing Rhino's chat? Are we unironically doing the thing where we all collectively understand what he is saying and what he is meaning, but being pedantic is funny because it's better to model yourself after one of the worst YouTubers on the platform than it is to actually get anything done in conversation? Is that what we're doing? Because if so, I'm totally on board. I just want to know.
So I've actually been working to be less pedantic in my videos because one of the reasons they've gotten so long in recent years is because every time I get a comment correcting me on something, I make a mental note of that, and next time that thing comes up, I incorporate that into what I'm saying. And so then everything that I've said, just like over time, it has gotten longer and longer and longer. But then it started occurring to me that, like, it happened a few weeks ago when somebody was like, I used the term non-avian dinosaur And I got somebody in the comments who was like, "Oh, that's such a stupid term to use. Why you got to use that? Like, we all know when you say dinosaur, you mean the not bird ones, and when you say bird, you mean the not dinosaur. Like, well, they are dinosaur, but like, yeah, you know, like everybody knows what you mean when you say birds and dinosaurs.
We know we're talking about Jurassic Park.
Yeah, and so when I responded to that comment, my gut reaction is like, yeah, but I want to be technically correct, because like if I don't say non-avian dinosaurs, then someone's going to be in my comments correcting me saying non-avian. I'm like, wait a minute, comments are good for engagement. So maybe if I like let some of this stuff slide that doesn't matter anyways, that's going to get the pedants angry and get them commenting in my videos, that'll be good for engagement. So like everybody still knows what I'm talking about. I'm not doing any misconceptions.
Would you say you're attracted to the pedants then?
I think I see where you're going with this, and I don't like it.
You headed me off at the pass.
Yeah, I'm not gonna answer that question. I plead the fifth.
You're not American. You can't do that.
No, but we do have the equivalent in Canadian. Although it's less sweeping.
You can't just apply it to everything and it works.
Yeah, there are more situations in Canada where they can be like, no, you actually do have to testify here. Okay, dog, either sit down or leave. Thank you. Okay. Nope.
Pedant sexual Rhino is the name of your...
No. Why is that the one chat in my side of things that you read? So mean to Puddles, how dare... Yeah, okay. Think about dogs, though. I was just mildly annoyed at her. I'm not going to phase her. She's going to love me just as much. Cat? No. They will spurn you if you accidentally do something, like step on their tail or something. Whereas, like, the dog, you could accidentally step on her paw, have her yelp in pain, and then she'll come right over to you for snuggles to make it feel better.
Like, oh, I'm happy now. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you stepped on me.
Yeah, basically. On to the tweets. We're going to start with the guy who calls himself the intellectual side of Christianity.
Oh, no.
Capturing Christianity. He posted a meme.
Why do we have to begin with Cameron?
He posted a meme that has arrow pointing at Jesus that says literally one of the most well-documented figures in antiquity, with an atheist in the fedora going, this guy was made up, actually.
You know, he actually isn't one of the most well-documented figures in antiquity.
He's not even the most well-documented figure in the Bible.
So,
now, this is one of those things where this depends on what you mean by well documented. It's like in the sense of mythicism of, do we know whether or not he exists? No, he's not very well documented, because like, yeah, there are 4 biographies written about him. 3 of them are basic carbon copies of each other,
and they weren't written by
one source.
They also weren't written by contemporaries of Jesus.
That's not as big of a problem as a lot of atheists make it out to be, because like there are a lot of things like Tacitus and Suetonius were writing the histories of emperors that lived before them, and they are our only sources for some of the details about those emperors that we kind of accept as true. But we do that because the authors, Tacitus and Suetonius, have shown themselves to be reliable elsewhere when we can compare their works to other people's work. The authors of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are anonymous. We have no idea who they are, and with the exception of Luke, those are the sole works we have of them, and with Luke, the only other work is Acts, which is just as dubious as the Gospel of Luke.
Yeah.
Rosina says, step on me, daddies. I'm not sure what that's with reference to, but...
Don't know.
Sure. So yeah. So like saying we have a lot of detail about his life, yes, and it was like, yeah, it was decades after the fact, but it was still close enough that if there was other documentation for him, if there were confirming documents that were saying that these details were right, then we could consider that to be correct. And this is one of the reasons why I'm not well, I shouldn't put that on the Gospels. It's not really, but so I'll come back to that later. But yeah, but with regards to whether or not he existed in the first place, for other historical figures, we look at things like, do we have anything that they wrote? So like Julius Caesar,
For
we have
Jesus,
books
we
that
don't.
he wrote. Paul, another guy in the Bible, we have at least 7 letters that he wrote. Possibly 2 or 3 more, but not likely. But like for all these, Pliny the Younger, we have letters that he wrote to Tacitus. No, nonetheless. So like, they're historical figures. There are many more than that. Just like whatever I'm pulling off the top of my head is not going to be the greatest list because this
Yes,
is
it's
really,
whatever you've got at the time, which is it's fine. You're on the spot. You're the deer in the headlight.
I mean, I could have done some research into this in advance, but yeah. So like, we have other historical figures that actually wrote shit, and we have their writings. We have more details about their lives that are actually confirmed. Like, when Paul's writing to the ancient churches, we can learn a lot about how the ancient churches were structured from how he was writing, whereas Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John were writing in ways that it was very clear that they were using literary devices in a lot of instances, in where like the events that they were writing about were not meant to be taken literally. Like Matthew's zombie horde, it's likely that was just a portent, like it's saying like the Son of God has just died, so here's a thing that happens to make that more obviously a significant event. Mike Lycona actually lost his job over saying that wasn't a literal event, and that's another problem in Christian the study of Jesus' life, is that most of these scholars are Christians working for Christian institutions, where if they question things like, was there literally a zombie horde in Jerusalem, they could lose their job over that.
And so you end up getting this cyclical, self-feeding, self-defeating Ouroboros of information.
Yeah. So now, personally, I think like we have letters from Paul talking about when he went to Jerusalem to meet Peter. So that, in my mind, is enough to establish Jesus as actually being a historical guy, because like that means Peter was an actual guy that Paul went to meet, because we know Paul was real. We have his letters. He wrote a letter about going to meet Peter. There's no real reason why he would have made that up, especially given how like him and Peter were disagreeing with each other over shit. So like they were having a theological fight, and like it seems plausible. Like, I don't know, this is kind of getting into criterion of embarrassment territory, which is not really a good criteria, but this seems stronger than the women at the tomb thing.
It's one of S.J. Thomason's favorite ones, next to Martyrs.
Oh God. But anyway, Paul said that Peter's a real guy. Peter was one of the disciples of Jesus. I see no reason to think that, like, were the Gospels accurate about Jesus? No. Were they based on a real guy? Probably. I don't see a problem with that claim. It's just so mundane. But yeah, to say he's one of the most well-documented guys in antiquity? No. Not even close. Like, he might be on the same level as Pythagoras.
It's very, very frustrating, though, trying to hear a lot of that, because for me, I believe the guy existed. I'm not a mythicist. I don't have a reason to not believe the guy existed. I just don't think that the guy that Christians worship and the guy that began the cult of Christus are the same guy. I just think that those are, like, one of these is so far removed from reality, and the other one probably walked the earth and got written about in a more fantastical fashion than what he actually was.
Sean Helfin says, I don't know, Pythagoras actually had a good theory.
That's just a theory, a math theory.
So here's the thing about that. Pythagoras, not actually necessarily a mathematician. That's a story that grew up around him hundreds of years after the fact. He was most well known in his day for his he was a religious leader. He led a cult, and a lot of the writings we have about the life of Pythagoras come from many years after the fact. and it like all the details of his life are very dubious. It's questionable whether or not he even existed as a real person. If he did, yes, there was some math going on there, but it was not. Like, I stumbled into this when I was looking into like talking about how, you know, we've known the Earth was a sphere for thousands of years now, and I'd always heard that Pythagoras was the first guy to do that. But when I looked into that in more detail, it turns out we don't even really know who Pythagoras was. But did Jesus ever travel to England? No, that was Joseph of Arimathea. He went to England and recorded that the resting place of the Grail was in the castle. Don't give me
Well,
that.
I'm going to go rewatch Monty Python now.
Perhaps he was dictating.
Well, at least we can say, though, Jesus did come to the United States and he ministered to the Indians. It says so in my copy of the Book of Mormon.
Is it the Book of Mormon or is it the Pearl of Great Price?
Actually, I'm gonna have to go through it again to see.
I'm
I'm just remembering the hello. My name is Elder Price.
We got the Hitchmeister 59 in a submarine. Yeah, no, I know. There's it is book. Hitchmeister says it is Book of Mormon. But I know there's like a couple stories that are like classic Mormon stories that aren't actually in the Book of Mormon. They're in one of the other ones. And I don't know if Pearl, like, I think Pearl of Great Price is mostly like, it's like Mormon Leviticus. It's mostly just rules and dry stuff. But I don't know. Anyway, next tweet. Another meme from Eric Hovind, who says, you don't believe in the Bible because it was written by man? Tell me more about who wrote all of your textbooks.
He's forgetting
They were written by women. Bam!
He's forgetting about an important piece of information, though. If the textbook says written by Adam Scheringsberg, there's a chance at least most of it was written by Adam Scheringsberg with a note by the editor or two, probably. Like, usually that is the case. If somebody says, this book was written by God, and then we find out that it wasn't written by God, that's the issue. The issue isn't that it's written by men, because there are other books written by men. The issue is that you said it was not written by a man, and then we find out it was actually glued together by several men.
Yeah. Rosina Keller says, Castle Grayskull? Or the honor of Grayskull?
I shall lift my schlong above my head, and fantastic magical powers will be imbued into me.
Have you seen the new series?
I haven't seen the new series yet, no.
She talks a lot about being able to feel her inside her. Because I guess, what's her name? She-Ra. She-Ra is a different person from whatever her name is when she's not She-Ra.
Oh,
Adora, that's her name. She-Ra and Adora are two different people that share a body, sort of thing. And there's one point where, like, She-Ra is not coming out anymore, or she lost the sword that brings She-Ra out. But then she's like, I still feel her inside me. And...
okay.
Yeah. But, yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head. It's not that it's written by men, it's that you claim that it isn't. But it very obviously is. So we don't claim that our textbooks are inerrant words of gods. In fact, we're quite willing to acknowledge when there are errors in textbooks. That's why there's a new edition every year.
Well, and also the fact that there's an entire industry built on the need to sell those books. That's the other reason there's a new edition every year.
I had some good college professors who... one in particular, he actually wrote the textbook for the class, and like he would straight up tell people at the beginning of the year, being like, you know what, I have to publish a new edition every year, but there's no significant changes, so if you get a used one, it's fine. I will tell you what the different, like if we get to a significant difference, I will explain that in class. So like he actually did extra work to make sure the students didn't have to buy the expensive new textbook, they could just get the used one. And then there was
the best professors are the ones that are like, Oh, you pirated your textbook? Base.
I was just gonna say another one of mine, like, very obviously turned a blind eye to the fact that one kid was passing the textbook around on a USB stick. Like, he actually scanned the whole thing himself and then distributed it to everybody else in class on the USB stick for free. So, like, props to him. That was some dedication.
That's a good kid.
Yeah. Actually, he was kind of an asshole, but, like, that was the one good thing he did.
In that one specific thing, it was good.
Assholes can be nice sometimes.
No comment.
Where are the Clippers at?
With enough Astroglide, yes, they can be. Or Sliquid. Sliquid actually works pretty well too.
Yeah. Okay, this is Kevin Sorbo being very sad. Very sad indeed. So Andrew Tate says, feeling wild, I want to burn $10 million of cash. Money is boring. Like, what kind of flex does he think this is?
If Kevin Sorbo is going, I could use that money to make a few cheap movies. Yeah, sure you could, buddy.
Hey, he says, I could make a few good movies with that easy. Please give me some of your money, Mr. Tate. Like, I don't know, the way
you're paying so many
these
people,
so-called alpha males turn into beta cucks as soon as one of the other alpha males is in the room. It's just weird.
Yeah.
But,
define good, Kevin.
Well, that's my thing, is like, I say, yeah, they are good movies in the sense that I get to laugh at Kevin Sorbo trying to put on that stupid accent that we saw in Revelation Road 3.
That you forced me to sit through that scene for.
Yep. Hey, come on. That was fun. Kevin Sorbo movies are fun, but not because they're good.
They're fun because of Sorbo and not in the way he wants.
Disappointed! He insists that that was a joke. That was not actually him mistakenly reading the stage direction. And I believe that, like I believed his Australian accent in that movie.
It's all done for a joke, bro.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh yeah, this was sent in from Progress Only. This is one of the guys that he's running against in it's Michigan, right? Yeah.
Bruce Lee Eckert.
Bruce Lee Eckert, who on his flyer says, build the wall, family-based businesses reduce blight renovation incentives, fly the flag, pray for America, freeze property and utility tax. The way some of those go in between lines, I'm just treating that as one run-on sentence. So, build that wall, family-based businesses reduce blight renovation incentives, fly the flag, pray for America, freeze property utility tax.
Next, you're going to tell me you're the Micro Machines guy.
I don't get that reference.
The Micro Machines guy was the guy who did the advertising for the Micro Machines toy line in America, and he always did all the things like this. Micro Machines. I can't physically speak.
Oh, like
as
the guys
fast
that
as
read
he spoke.
the side effects lists on the drug commercials.
Yes.
Okay.
But faster.
Yeah, so, I mean, if I try to parse it out, build that wall, okay, fine, whatever. Family-based businesses, sure. Reduce blight? Is it a farming community where they've got, like, a big blight problem going on right now? Sure. You can see that. Renovation incentives, okay. Fly the flag. Americans have never had a problem with that.
Yeah, I'm just going to fly the flag.
Yeah.
Why does that matter?
Go for it, I guess. Have fun. Pray for America. You're welcome to do that on your own time. Please don't do that while you're being paid to govern it. Freeze property and utility tax. How about no? And I say this as someone who pays property and utility tax.
Property taxes being froze means that teachers lose their salaries.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't get cost of living increases if you freeze the property tax because your education system is fucked up. But also, utility tax. If I could just take a moment to go on a rant against my fucking water heater rental company.
Sure.
Yeah, they're called Enercare, and I just got a collection notice for them. that I'm past due $57, which my rental's like $23 a month. That's like 2 months past due. Whatever. The reason I'm past due is because it used to just be on my gas bill. Whatever the number was at the bottom of my gas bill, I pay that. And that includes the water heater rental. Fennec says, rental, you rent the water heater? Yes, I rent the water heater because it's $20 a month. And if it breaks down, I can just call the company and they will come and fix it. And if it needs to be replaced, it just gets replaced, and I continue paying $20 a month.
I think
Like,
my
it's such
water...
a small bill that I don't see the point in paying the several $1,000s to replace it with one that I... Yeah, okay. Yeah, yours came with the house. Yeah, I did have one that came with the house that I wouldn't have to pay a monthly fee for. But that one was super duper old, not efficient, and on the verge of breaking down. So when you're looking to replace it, $20 a month, that's a reasonable bill. Anyway, they recently separated those things out, and they don't mail bills out. You have to go log into the portal to get your bill. So this is, like, first off, ADHD. Now that's another thing that I have to remember to do when it's time to pay my bills. Fuck that. So I just forgot for a couple months, and then when I finally logged into the portal, they don't have bills available. There's no... Their website is so underdeveloped. It's not ready to go. They have nothing. And... like, how am I supposed to... like, I don't pay a bill that I don't have. If you don't tell me that I owe you money, I'm not paying you in advance.
Yeah.
So...
Although I wish I could pay taxes in advance. That would actually be kind of nice. Just like... I know technically we have quarterly taxes, and that's the closest you can really get to it.
Yeah, they forced me to pay taxes in advance, actually.
No.
Because, like, there's a threshold in Canada where as soon as you make a certain amount of money, or you have a certain amount of payment in taxes, then automatically you have to pay quarterly the next time around.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. Yeah, so
No.
Fennec says, let me rephrase that. The one that came with the house broke and we replaced it. That one broke but was under warranty, thank goodness. So that's the thing. With the rental, it's always under warranty because it's not mine. And, like, yeah, it's probably cheaper in the long run to just own it outright and replace it when it gets old. But, I don't know. It's such a minor thing. Although, if it's a separate bill, that might just get me angry enough to just buy one myself.
It's like, nope,
I'm the kind of guy
done.
who would buy a spite water heater.
I've never considered the phrase spite water heater before, but now I am.
Yeah. Oh, so it's not... I don't want to focus on what I said here, but this was a post from Lori Alexander, the transformed wife. She posted a thing that I agreed with almost no caveats. And I was so proud of her. I was so proud of her. I retweeted it. I'm like, extremely rare base take. Yes, absolutely this. And then she deleted it. The one good thing she ever posted, she deleted it.
Huh.
So basically what she was saying is that at the Olympics, they need to stop forcing the women into skimpy little outfits, because at this rate, they're going to end up in, like, thong bikinis at some point. It was like, have you seen the Olympic beach volleyball? They basically already are. And then she finished it with, I bet the men love that. And it was like, yeah, that's very problematic. They need to stop, because I always thought that it was a choice. And I was like, no, let them choose to wear what they want. But it's not. It is actually like the IPCC. Is the IPCC? No, that's the climate change one. Whatever the Olympics committee is, they get together and they decide on what the dress code or whatever is going to be. And every year, the women's outfits get skimpier and skimpier. And IOC, that's the one.
It's just there because we need to cater to the male gaze.
But the men's outfits stay the same. And yeah, there's no reason for it. Like, I say you just let the athletes decide what to wear for themselves, because, like, we're talking about world-class athletes that are honed in their craft. Like, surely they are going to know what clothing best suits the activity they are doing. And if a skimpy little thong bikini is actually like if it actually has a measurable impact on your ability to play volleyball, then they will wear the skimpy little thong bikinis. But if it doesn't, they can wear things that are more comfortable for them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Equality means we put the men in thongs too.
That's is that what I said? No, that's not what I said.
No, that was Lord of Uzkalak.
There we go. Octopus.
Lord says cater to the male gaze. You know what I mean. You know what I mean by the male gaze.
Turn up the volume.
Hello.
Oh,
So you can hear me say male gaze over and over again?
Calm down, Rosina. Can't stop thinking about VR and a thong. You can see that on my main channel. There's a video where that's in the outtakes. No, I will not be playing that here because as much as these streams are always demonetized, that might get it taken... Well, no, it wouldn't get it taken down because it didn't get my video taken down. But, yeah, still not doing that.
Oy. It is unfortunate that
Travis.
Lori Alexander is no longer saying things we agree with on the internet.
Travis says, you can have them all nude and I still wouldn't watch the Olympics, and I am a hetero-romantic asexual... Oh.
I just don't care about the Olympics either way.
I don't know. Are they coming up soon, or...
Mm-hmm.
What'd you say?
I have no idea.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, it makes me sad that the one good thing she ever posted is gone now. Frank Turek says, if you say there's no objective morality, then it can't be wrong for me to do whatever I want to you. It's just subjective matter of opinion, but you don't believe that. That's an objective moral law.
I want to ram my head into a building anytime I see Frank Turek say anything.
Well, I mean, you know, this is... He should rename his account to Frank Turek's intern.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, so here's the thing. I don't believe that morality is objective. However, if you have a shared goal, you can objectively measure whether or not something gets you closer to or farther away from that goal. So...
If our shared goal is human flourishing,
then you doing bad things to me goes against that goal. So it is objectively wrong in light of that goal. Bada bing, bada boom. They call that playing word games. Like, no, that's just how those words work. Like, when you say someone is tall, that is not an objective thing. Like, tall compared to what? Tall compared to other people of average height, not tall compared to a giraffe. I'm pretty short compared to a giraffe.
Not tall compared to the overwhelming power and force of a giraffe.
Yeah.
Oh, you haven't seen One Piece. That joke's not going to land.
No, I haven't seen One Piece. I didn't even know that was a joke.
So in One Piece, there's these things called devil fruits. It's the thing that gives characters their powers. It always comes with the caveat that you lose your ability to swim. You sink like a lead weight. Which is bad since the world is almost entirely covered by water.
Okay.
I mean, it is in reality too, but like more so in One Piece. One of the characters, basically, one of the characters is given a devil fruit so that he can help the evil villains in their scheme, and he eats it, and the power of that devil fruit is just to turn him into a giraffe. So from that moment forward, his favorite animal becomes a giraffe. And anytime somebody insults his new devil fruit power, he just goes, "You just don't understand the overwhelming power of a giraffe." Like, he goes from never mentioning this animal once in his entire life to this being his favorite thing and his hyperfixation forevermore because it is a coping mechanism.
I mean, giraffes kick ass, man. Like, I wouldn't want to fight with a giraffe. You seen those guys when they get necking?
It sounds horrible when you say it like that.
I know, but you know what I'm talking about, though, right? Like when the males are fighting over the female and they're like whipping their necks around each other. It's some scary shit. But yeah, no, like My partner and I the other day, we were looking for something to watch, and as we were scrolling through, I got to Netflix and we saw One Piece, and we were like, "Oh, Cirrus has said that that's pretty good." It seems like it might be a big time investment, seeing as how he's like 400 episodes in or something. Then I saw it's like the mini series; it's only like 8 episodes long. So I seriously considered just watching that mini series, and then coming on being like, "Yeah, I watched all of One Piece in one sitting."
I've heard that the Netflix adaptation's actually really good. Like it's one of the few times anime actually got adapted into real life and turned out pretty good.
Yeah. All right, Wendell. So we're getting all the Twit Tweets classics tonight. The Christian faith is an intellectually robust faith that is capable of answering all objections and therefore proving itself to be rational and true.
It can answer all objections, but it doesn't mean it has the right answers.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, every religion can answer all the objections to their religions, but some of the answers are not very good. Like, just having an answer does not make that answer correct, and having an incorrect answer does not make it rational and true. So,
like,
yeah.
It's also Christianity. If we are just basing Christianity on the Bible, it actually doesn't answer all objections. Christian apologists, after the fact, had to figure out some way to squirm their way through those objections.
Every time an apologist every time an apologist writes a book, they are implicitly saying that the Bible is not sufficient. The Bible does not have these answers. I have to provide them to you. Now, sure, they will try and support what they're saying in their book with Bible verses, but if the Bible actually said what they were saying, they wouldn't need to write the book. That's true, yeah. My partner just said Sharon outright told us that, so that was the marriage book that we read through, where a good chunk of her book was spent, like, rewriting the Bible. Apparently I forgot to update my stream thing on Twitch, and it says I'm playing Final Fantasy VII. That's a terms of service violation, I think.
It technically is. It technically is.
I feel like that's one that they don't really enforce that much because, like, accidents happen. Okay, I can probably change that. Edit settings. Yeah, no, not playing Final Fantasy VII. Here's the thing, though. There it is. When I update it through Restream, just chatting doesn't always show up. Like, if you type JU and then scroll down, you can find just chatting. But if you type in just chatting and spell it exactly the way they have it, it just doesn't show up. And I don't know why that is. It's so stupid.
Well,
what does the Bible say about adding to the Bible? Here's the thing. The Bible doesn't say anything about adding to the Bible. The book of Deuteronomy says that you should not add to the book of Deuteronomy, and the book of Revelation says that you should not add to the book of Revelation. But the Bible was not a thing that existed when either of those books were written.
Nope, we had to have a council to figure out how to glue them together.
Yeah, so modern Christians who add to the Bible all the goddamn time will take those verses and say that they mean you shouldn't add to the Bible. But that's not what those verses were actually saying, because, like, neither of the authors of those passages meant for their book to be read in the way that we read it in the modern Bible today. So, yeah.
Yay, Wendell. The best.
And Mike Winger, I think this is the last one, says, Mormonism is not Christianity. As much as I love Mormons, it would be an insult to Christ to pretend they are the same.
Does he really love Mormons if he thinks they should burn in hell?
Well, yeah,
anyway, that's a separate thing entirely.
That is a separate thing. I was just going to say that I feel like Mormons would feel the same way about him and his version of Christianity.
Mormons do feel the same way about him and his version of Christianity.
Yeah, and so, as an outsider, if I see a bunch of Christians all pointing at each other and saying, they're not really Christian, I'm the real Christian, and they're all saying it about each other,
how do you tell which one's the real one?
Which one's the real one? How do I, as a non-believer, if I was going to become a Christian, how do I decide which Christianity to choose when all these Christians are busy telling everybody that, oh no, those other Christians are not the true Christians?
Multiple choice. Just multiple choice. It's fine. Just Christmas tree the answer. You'll make it to heaven. Trust me.
I don't get. No, that doesn't.
Yep, it works. It works. Just multiple choice.
How?
Yeah, you
don't get to
just
multiple
penciled
choice,
in
you
one of
just
them.
choose one. But which one?
Yeah, just one of them. Any one of them. And then afterwards become an apologist for that specific one.
No, the apologists that do best are the ones that manage to skirt the line between denominations. Like, one of the things I noticed while I was covering Mike Winger is that anytime anything scientific would come up, he would, like, go middle of the road. Like, you would be hard-pressed to figure out what his actual position is on something like evolution. Like, he will... is like he'll tell you that, like, oh no, we don't deny science, but, like, evolution, if that actually is true, doesn't actually impact Christianity. But I'm not saying it's not true, but I'm not saying it is true. And so, like, he's trying to both sides it so that because he knows his audience has some creationists and some evolution accepting Christians, and if he takes a stance on it, he'll lose a good chunk of his audience. Rosina says the answer is C.
Always C. That's what happens when you Christmas tree. You find out that so many answers end up being C that you get paranoid.
Yeah, that's the end of the tweets. So, hey, it's only 10:14.
Holy shit, we did it! It's not 11:30 at night.
I assume you're going back to Project 2025.
I am going back to Project 2025.
Okay, I'm sorry for leaving you extra time for that.
Crap. You're right.
I'm going to cuddle with my partner, who hopefully won't have finished that popcorn by the time I hit the credits button.
That sounds like a fantastic thing to do. I will fantasize about going and cuddling with my partner while I cry about a document made to eradicate her.
Okay. Yeah, well, thanks for joining me. Thank you, chat, for joining us and watching and putting up with our shenanigans.
Hello. We exist.
Deep hugs. Okay, Rosina, you can't say non-sexual deep hugs after telling us to, like, step on you, calling us daddy. What was the last thing you said? Not the answer is C. There was something else up there. Come on. Can't stop thinking about Vice Rhino in a thong.
It's not a non-sexual deep hug. Depending on how deep it is, it's become very sexual.
Is it as deep inside as Jesus?
I need Jesus to come inside you.
Fetish says squish. Squish that cat. Is that a meme that do you know that meme?
No, I don't, but I heard squish and cat, and that's enough for me to think that somebody in my audience is going to make something out of it.
Okay.
Call it a trauma response.
No. Okay. Nobody in my audience knows squish that cat? Come on. Go to YouTube right now and search for squish that cat. It is a vet who's teaching you how to hold cats, and it's adorable because he's telling you, like, cats just love to be squished. So you put a towel over them and then you squish them down, and that makes them feel all safe and cozy. And it's adorable. It's the most wholesome meme ever, I promise. It is not it's not cursed.
This handful of cashews will get me through everything else in the stream, I swear.
Okay. On that note, squish that cat.